Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today I have Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which is my TBR game that helps me create a TBR each month. We are on round 29, which is going to be for August. I have so many books because May was such a rough reading month for me. I have a lot of books that ended up rolling over. I read quite a few books in June, but I didn't get to a lot of the rollovers or priority reads or anything like that. So a lot of those rolled over into July. I always film about a month in advance. I like to know way ahead of time what I'm going to be reading. And so my point is, I'm very rambly and such today, but my point is, if I can work any of those books into my game, I'm going to do that, and just not worry about trying to get to them in July. So any of my extras I really want to read, or my priority reads, or my rollovers, if I can get them on my game TBR, I'm going to do that. So that's kind of the plan. I do have a couple of books I would really like to get on here. And then I do also have my series. I'm not going to pull anything from here this time because for July I got Six of Crows and the second book in the Prison Healer series. Six of Crows is by Leigh Bardugo, and then I still have them out from last month. So yeah, we have this one, and then we have the Prison Healer trilogy by Lynette, Noni. Now, I had already read the first one. I haven't read these two yet, the second one in the Prison Healer trilogy or Six of Crows, but I really, because if I read the third and then the second one, that will complete the series. So instead of pulling, I'm just going to do that, because that's kind of the whole point of the priority series, is to get them read. So I'm just going to put the second book, which is Crooked Kingdom, in the Six of Crows duology, and then the third book, which is, what is it called? Where do I have them even? Blood Traitor is the third book in the Prison Healer trilogy. So that's, instead of pulling, I'm just going to put those as my picks for my series. And that way I can hopefully complete them. I'm not going to add two more to the jar just yet, just in case I'm not able to get to them. But that's the plan. That way I can knock both those series off by reading, the next two I need to in July, and then the other two in August. That will be nice. So that's the plan as far as the series jar. So I'm not going to actually pull anything. I do have a couple of Hunny Jar prompts I need to put back in because I did not complete them, and I'm not rolling these books over. So first is Lilo and Stitch, which is neurodivergent rep. So that's going to go back in. I also have the Bookworm, which was manga or graphic novel. And then this one, I have yet to complete this. It's come out multiple times, but we have Little Red Riding Hood, and it's red cover. So those three are going to go back in the jar. The ones I completed, I put away already, and then the ones that I rolled over are still out until I complete them. They'll stay out, or if I decide, you know what, I've had my chance, I'm not doing them, then I'll put them back in if I decide not to keep rolling over those books. I think that's it as far as housekeeping go. We'll talk about everything else after gameplay, because if I can fit the books on the TBR, I'd rather just talk about them then, and then anything extra I'll talk about after gameplay. So let me go ahead and get the board set up and get you guys turned around, and we'll get into it. Okay, so I do still have 2 reward tokens. I did use one last month, but this just allows me to forego a Hunny Jar prompt if I so choose. Just a reminder, the genres aren't super important this year, but I do want to still try. If I land on a blue, I will try for sci-fi. Yellow is historical. Green is fantasy. Red is romance. Orange is mystery, thriller, horror. Purple is a completely free pick this year. I don't need to pick a genre or a Hunny Jar prompt. And if we get a black, we move forward 3 spaces and use the genre for that color. And I also had to pull 2 Hunny Jar prompts. But like I said, this year genres are kind of loose. We do roll for our character. If we get a 1, that's Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or middle grade. 2 is Pooh Bear, which is a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an auto by author or reread. 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. We did roll Rabbit last time, so if we roll them this time, we can choose to roll again. It's a free choice. I ain't going to do that. 5 is Owl, which is a memoir, biography, or any type of nonfiction. 6 is Tigger, which is lighthearted or fast-paced. 7 is Eeyore, which is literary or dystopian. And 8 is Kanga and Roo, which is a manga, graphic novel, or children's book. So let's go ahead and see which character we're gonna be playing with. Okay, we got a 7, which is Eeyore, so it needs to be a literary or dystopian. Alright, so Eeyore is actually my favorite Winnie the Pooh character. So we got him. Just a reminder, we do move 2 squares for each color other than purple or black. So let's go ahead and see what our first poll is. Let's do this one. Alright, so we have a yellow, which is 1 and 2. So attempt for a historical that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, so this is the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it's Church Sanctuary. Okay, see what we get next. Blue, so it's 1 and 2. So this one, try to get a sci-fi that fulfills the prompt of, let's do whatever one comes. Oh, okay. So this one is Gopher, and it's whistles and wheezes, so it needs to be an alliteration. All right, some interesting ones so far. Okay, another yellow. So that goes 1 and 2, and this says any player to next yellow. So we actually get to go here, and because it's a special square, I don't even need to worry about the genre. Sorry, my train of thought like completely abandoned me there. And so I just need to fulfill the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, so this is Jack and the Beanstalk, so it's poverty of some sort. Let's see what we get next. Okay, we got a green, which is 1 and 2. So try for a fantasy that fulfills the prompt of this one. Okay, I really like this one. So this is Hercules, and it's No Damsel in Distress. Next, getting some interesting prompts this time. Do this one. Alright, we got a red, which is 1 and 2. So some type of romance I'm going to aim for that fulfills the prompt of... Okay, so this one is Owl, and it's My Relatives, a memoir. And so in this case, this one trumps the genre, so I will go for a memoir. Alright, let's see what else we got going on here. Do this one. Okay, nice, a purple. So that moves us really far. So right here. And so that's a completely free pick. I don't need to choose a Hunny Jar prompt or anything. Our next pull, we're getting really close. We could make it to the end. We'll just have to see what we pull next. This one. Okay, an orange, which brings us right close to the end, but not quite there. So horror, mystery, or thriller that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Ooh, so this is Alice in Wonderland, and it's an alternate reality. Alright, if we get a black, a red, or a blue, we are completely done. Anything else goes off to the side. Let's do this one. So that is a green, we can't use that. A red means we are done. We're at the North Pole. So we just need to fulfill the prompt of... Which one? Okay. Aladdin and magic carpet. So I'm not quite sure how I'll interpret that. But that is the game, so I'm going to go ahead and get my books chosen, and I will be back with you. Okay, so I'm back. I got my books picked out. I was able to pull a couple from my July TBR, so that was nice, because it'll lessen that load just a little bit, so hopefully that will help me out, and I won't have a ton more to roll over into August. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the selection we got. I definitely had to think on some of them. Some of the connections might be a little loose, but I did what I could. So, of course, first we rolled Eeyore, which we love Eeyore. He's my favorite character. And that was to read either a literary or a dystopian novel. So I did have one that I've been rolling over since May that does fit the dystopian prompt, so I went ahead and pulled it off of my July TBR, and it's gonna be my character pick for August. I think it was a character pick in May, but I can't remember for sure. And that is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a dystopian. This is my May pick for Adventures in Aldea as well, because I needed a dystopian. Or no, this was for an unusable disc, I believe, not a character. I believe it was an unusable disc in May. It is for Aldea as well, to read a dystopian, and it worked because it's a dystopian, so it worked for Eeyore. And so yeah, I pulled this off my July TBR so I can have a little lighter load, and I'll get to this in August. It will be a high priority. This one says, the night Arthur Leander has a heart attack on stage during a production of King Lear is also the night when a devastating flu pandemic arrives in the city, and within weeks, civilization as we know it comes to an end. 20 years later, Kristen Raymond moves between the settlements of the altered world with a small troupe of actors and musicians. They call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. But when they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. And as the story takes off, moving back and forth in time and vividly depicting life before and after the pandemic, the strange twist of fate that connects them all will be revealed. So I am very excited about this one. I tend to like dystopian books, and I've been wanting to try this author for a while. I also have Sea of Tranquility by them, but obviously this one fits for things, and so I do need to get it read. So that'll be the first book on the official TBR. Then we pulled a yellow, which is generally historical, and the one I got does work for that as well. And we got the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is church sanctuary. So I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with this one, whether I wanted to go like with something that had an actual church or more the sanctuary part. And the one I chose is for Aldea. For August, I'm going to, let's see, it's 8B, and the prompt is use true light, read a book with the word light in the title. So I'm going to be reading All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. And yeah, this one I found not too long ago, like within the last year. I found it when my mother-in-law and I went to Arizona to hit their stores over there. And it worked for this prompt. But it says, Marie lives with her father in Paris near the Museum of Natural History, where he works as the master of its thousands of locks. When she is 6, Marie goes blind, and her father builds a perfect miniature of their neighborhood so she can memorize it by touch and navigate her way home. When she is 12, the Nazis occupy Paris, and father and daughter flee to the walled citadel of St. Malo. And so that's where I'm connecting it to church sanctuary, because a citadel is kind of like a refuge, like and so that's kind of how I'm connecting it, even though it's not a church, it's still a refuge. And let's see here. where Marie's reclusive great uncle lives in the tall house by the sea. With them, they carry what might be the museum's most valuable and dangerous jewel. In a mining town in Germany, the orphan Werner grows up with his younger sister, enchanted by a crude radio they find. Werner becomes an expert at building and fixing these crucial new instruments, a talent that wins him a place at the brutal academy for Hitler Youth. Then a special assignment to track the resistance. More and more aware of the human cost of his intelligence, Werner travels through the heart of the war and finally into St. Malo, where his story and Marie's converge. Doerr's stunning sense of physical detail and gorgeous metaphors, that's from the San Francisco Chronicle, are dazzling. Deftly interweaving the lives of Marie and Werner, he illuminates the ways against all odds people try to be good to one another. 10 years in the writing, All the Light We Cannot See is a magnificent, deeply moving novel from a writer whose sentences never fail to thrill. That's from the Los Angeles Times. So, yeah, I'm excited to give this a go. So we got 2 Aldia prompts there. Have Adeline sneaking in, and she's gonna knock over the books with her tail. What are you doing? Come on. There you go. Off she goes, and we have an Ani here and a Nidra over here, snoozing away. Okay, so next we got a blue, which is typically sci-fi. Like I said, I'm more focused on the Hunny Jar prompts than the genres this year. And so for this we got Gopher and its Whistles and Wheezes. And so I'm definitely going the Hunny Jar route and not the genre, obviously. This one is one that I had as an extra for July. I was really hoping I could get to it, but since it worked for this prompt, I was like, I'll just scoot it on back to August. And I'm going to be rereading This Dark Descent by Kalyn Josephson. This was a gift from Mariana, and I absolutely love this one. I kind of forgot about the sequel for a little while, and so I recently hauled that, but I need to read this one. I remember the story itself, but the characters and kind of like the political system and such, like there's a whole little like what is it called? A whole little thing explaining, the different houses and everything like that. So that's kind of why I need to reread this one. But I really love this one, and I'm very excited for the second one. And obviously, Dark Descent works for the alliteration prompt. And so this one says 100 riders, 4 races, 1 winner. The Russell family is famous throughout Enderlane as breeders of enchanted horses, but their prestige is no match for their rising debts. To save her family's ransom, Makira Russell is left with only one option: enter the Illinair, a treacherous cross-country horse race known as much for its high body count as its enticing prize money. To have any chance of success, Makira will have to recruit Ariel Kadar, a talented but unlicensed enchanter who creates golems in place of enchanted animals, and Damien Adair, a dashing young lord in the midst of a fierce succession battle. Both have mysterious reasons of their own to help Makira, as well as their own blood feuds to avenge. Steeped in Jewish folklore, this Dark Descent is a spellbinding new fantasy full of intrigue, romance, and pulse-pounding action. In a world as dangerous as this, will hidden agendas and conflicting desires butcher Makira, Ari, and Damien's chances of winning the Illinair, or will another rider's dagger? So, I can't wait to reread this, and we'll talk about the second one in a moment. So there's that. Then we pulled another yellow, but this was a special square. It allowed any player to move to the next yellow, and so it didn't need to be anybody specific. So that in my game, even though I'm not really focusing on genres, that means I don't even need the genre's not even a thought. And we got Jack and the Beanstalk, and this is a poverty of some sort. Um, and so for this one, I am going to go with this one. This one I had been rolling over, but I actually took it off. I didn't roll it over to July because I had so many books, and I was like, you know what, I'll just wait on that one and try to see if I can get an opportunity to get it on a TBR. And I thought this worked for the poverty prompt. So I'm going to be reading The Antidote by Karen Russell. I was trying to get this read because it was a Goodreads giveaway for me. And since that's the whole spirit of Goodreads giveaway is get them read and reviewed, I really wanted to read this sooner rather than later, and I just wasn't able to get it to work for a TBR, but now it works for this one, and I am so excited. Like, most of the Goodreads giveaways, like, I'm interested in, but I wouldn't necessarily buy them if I came across them in the wild, but I am interested in trying. This is one I would have bought for sure, so I'm very excited about it. I love the cover. And it says, fantastical, historical, supernatural, and miraculously faithful to the legacy of a nation's ineradicable past. The Antidote is bookended by two real weather events that happened within months of each other in western Nebraska: the Black Sunday dust storm of 1935 and the flooding of the Republican River, which received 24 inches of rain within 24 hours. Within the confines of the shadow history, we meet a prairie witch who excels in the exile of memory and who calls herself the Antidote, having discovered her bleak magic at the age of 15 when her baby was stolen from her at a home for unwed mothers. Harp Oletsky, a farmer whose land remains strangely unharmed by the town around him, is obliterated by dust and drought. Dell Oletsky, his niece, a motherless daughter in furious flight from her grief, player captain of the girls' basketball team abandoned by its sponsor, intent on making it to the playoffs while facing down the storm of the century. A voluble scarecrow, and Cleo Allfrey, a New Deal photographer whose time-traveling camera threatens to reveal both the town's secrets and its fate. The Antidote is above all a reckoning with a nation's forgetting, enacting the settler amnesia and willful omission passed down from generation to generation, and unearthing not only horrors but shimmering possibilities of Karen Russell's imaginative reach is exuberantly unfettered, and her language soars. The Antidote is an extraordinary new novel from one of the most prodigiously gifted writers of our time. And I was kind of reading like the historical an author's note and such, and so not only do you have the dust storm and like the town not doing well, even though the one farmer is, but you also have the Native Americans, which it talked about in the author's note and such, and highlighting, you know, that settler amnesia, like we took the land from them and such, and you know the Native Americans are generally impoverished, so and plus, like I said, that town and the dust storm and such, it was a impoverished time, so I'm counting that for that, and I am so excited. It sounds so intriguing to me. I can't wait to read that. So there is that one. Fix those because they're kind of wonky. Then let's see here. Then we got Green, which is typically fantasy, and I was able to fulfill that. And we got Hercules, and it's no damsel in distress because we have Meg, and she doesn't. The cat just sneezed on me. That was gross. She doesn't need a man to save her. And so in this case, I'm going to be going with the final book in the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash. This is a brick. It's 980 pages. But the series just reads really fast. Like, I'm currently tandem reading the two previous books to this, and those are both like mid 600, almost 700 pages in the one case, and they just read so quickly. So I'm not that worried about how thick this one is, and I'm so excited. And obviously, Selena is not a damsel in distress. She takes care of business. So I'm excited to read this. I'm not going to tell you what this one is about, but basically, if you're not familiar, Throne of Glass in the first book, we're following Selena. She gets pulled out of prison, and she's in a competition to become the king's assassin. The prince and the royal guard are kind of working with her, and it's the prince's champion to become the king's assassin, and it just takes off from there. Like, we have evolved so much from where we were in the beginning to where we are now. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So yeah, this will be going on, and I will be wrapping up another series, which I'm very excited about. So there's that. That was one of my priority series for the year, so I'm excited to finally be getting to it. Then we have Red, which is typically romance. But in this case, we pulled Al, which is My Relatives, a memoir. And so obviously that trumps the genre anyway. And for this one, I had so many options down there. I have a lot of memoirs. But I kind of wanted to embrace that family theme since that was kind of the inspiration for the prompt. So I'm going to be going with Michael J. Fox, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality. One, I've been seeing like little articles and stuff pop up and pictures of him with his family more recently. They've just been kind of popping up in my feed. So that's kind of on my mind. And then it does mention in here. So it says the entire world knows Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, the teenage sidekick of Doc Brown in Back to the Future, as Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties, as Mike Flattery in Spin City, and through numerous other movie roles and guest appearances on TV shows such as The Good Wife and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at age 29, Michael is equally engaged in advocacy work, raising global awareness of the disease and helping find a cure through the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, the world's leading nonprofit funder of Parkinson's disease science. His two previous best-selling memoirs, which I've never read, Lucky Man and Always Looking Up, dealt with how he came to terms with the illness, all while exhibiting his iconic optimism. His new memoir reassesses this outlook as events in the past decade presented additional challenges. In No Time Like the Future, Michael shares his personal stories and observations about illness and health, aging, the strength of family and friends, and how our perceptions of time affect the way we approach mortality. Thoughtful and moving, but with Fox's trademark sense of humor, this book provides a vehicle for reflection in our lives, our loves, and our losses. Running through the narrative is the drama of the medical madness Fox recently experienced, including his daily negotiations with the disease he's had since 1991, and a spinal cord issue that necessitated immediate surgery. The challenge he faced of learning to walk again only to suffer a devastating fall nearly caused him to ditch his trademark optimism and get out of the lemonade business altogether. Does he make it all the way back? Read the book. So I'm excited to read this. So let's see here. Then we got Purple, which is a completely free pick. We absolutely love that. And so I just kind of saw what fit where, and then decided to go ahead and put one of my series picks. Like I said, I didn't pull it, but I do want to complete these two series. So I put Blood Traitor in this slot. This is the third book by Lynette Noni in the Prison Healer series. And so in the Prison Healer, you have, what is her name? Kiva. And she's a prison healer, so she's in prison, and she gets this prisoner brought to her, and she's not only needs to keep her alive so she can face trials, but she also gets a note from the rebel group telling her she needs to keep this person alive. And so she ultimately, the prisoner is too ill to face the trials, so she decides to do the trials in place of the prisoner. And they're elemental trials, which is really, really cool. And yeah, I'm excited to wrap up the series. I can't wait to read the second one. It's been far too long. And then jump right into this one and wrap it up really quickly. So there is that. Then we got an Orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror. And in this case, we got Alice in Wonderland, which is alternate reality. And I was like, shoot, that's kind of a hard one. And I didn't know what I wanted to go for. Like, obviously, like horror and such, that definitely works. And I decided to pull another one off my July TBR. It's another one for Aldia, so I'll definitely be having a catch up on my Aldia prompts happening in August. This just was too perfect. And again, it's kind of a bigger book, and it's like 686 pages with my July TBR being so heavy. I was like, if I can pull it off, I am, and it works perfect for this prompt. So I'm going to be moving Nosferatu by Joe Hill over to my August TBR. And I'm excited for this one. So it says Victoria McQueen has an uncanny knack for finding things: a misplaced bracelet, a missing photograph, answers to unanswerable questions. When she rides her bicycle over the rickety old covered bridge in the woods near her house, she always emerges in the places she needs to be. Charles Talent Manx has a gift of his own. He likes to take children for rides in his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wraith with a vanity plate of Nosferatu. In the Wraith, he and his innocent guests can slip out of the everyday world and in onto hidden roads that lead to an astonishing playground of amusements he calls Christmas lands. So to me, that's an alternate reality, and fits the prompt perfectly. The journey across the highway of Charlie's twisted imagination transforms his precious passengers, leaving them as terrifying and unstoppable as their benefactor. Then comes the day when Vic goes looking for trouble and finds her way to Charlie. That was a lifetime ago. Now the only kid to ever escape Charlie's evil is all grown up and desperate to forget. But Charlie Manx hasn't stopped thinking about Victoria McQueen. On the road again, he won't slow down until he's taken his revenge. He's after something very special, something Vic can never replace. As a life and death battle of wills builds, Vic McQueen prepares to destroy Charlie once and for all, or die trying. So I'm excited. This one, the prompt, I need to read it entirely in the PM hours. And like I said, I have multiple books I have ongoing, and those are typically the books I read in the PM hours. So getting this one off my July TBR is gonna help, because I can focus on those, and just like I said, just move this on over to August. So that's perfect there. Then we pulled a green, which we couldn't move. So that's just an unusable disc. And then we got a red, which is the North Pole. So again, genre doesn't matter because it's technically a special square. But we did get Aladdin, and it was Magic Carpet. And this one I was like, I don't know what I had in mind. Like, obviously I was thinking the Magic Carpet. And I'll tell you my connections and why I chose this book. So I did go ahead and go with the other series pick, which is the second book in the Six of Crows duology, technically the fifth book in the Grishaverse, but this is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And so this one, basically it's a heist novel. So you have a group, I don't remember how many, but a group of people, and they go on a heist job, and this is following the aftermath of that. And the connection I'm making is one heist, and Aladdin gets hired, to go in the Cave of Wonders, and that's where he finds the magic carpet, and he, pulls the lamp and gets the carpet all at the same time. And also they are on the run, and people are after them, and Aladdin's frequently on the run, and the magic carpet helps him escape. One, the Cave of Wonders, and then when he's banished to the wasteland, the magic carpet. So they're on the run, and so it kind of has that theme and that feel. So between the heist and then being on the run, it made me connect to that, because that's kind of a hard one. It's not a common thing. So that's where I'm making those connections. And yeah, I haven't read Six of Crows yet, so I'll be reading that in July, and then making my way onto this one in August, and then that's another series. So I'll be able to wrap up 3 of my priority series if I get this, the Blood Traitor and Kingdom of Ash read, which will be fantastic because obviously they're priorities this year and I want to get them read. So I'm really excited about that one. Then I only had 2 extra books. There was a third one, which if I happen to have time, I might squeeze on. It's my last standalone priority book. But I honestly, that gives me more like autumn vibes anyway. So I'm not too fussed to get that last one on. But I do want to read the second book, after This Dark Descent, which is our Deadly Designs. So obviously it's following, after the race, the aftermath of the race and everything like that. And so this is going on. This one, though, if I don't get to it in August for whatever reason, I will 100% read it in September, because September is my birthday month, and I build my own TBR based on books I'm just super excited for. So this one will definitely be top priority if I don't get to it in August. But with this stack, I think I can get to it. I forgot the one unusable disc though, so I just had the one. Genre doesn't really matter on that one. It just has to do with the number in some way. And so I'm going to put my family book club in this slot, which I don't have it yet. The voting just kind of wrapped up, and so we are going to be reading The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. I read The Hollow Places by that author and absolutely love it. I've read her middle grade book, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, which I really enjoyed. And I have another one of hers. I feel like I read something else, but I can't remember. But I do have Sword Heart, I think is what it's called. I have that as well, but I really love The Hollow Places. Like I don't get that scared. Like, I might get scared in the moment, but it doesn't last. The Hollow Places like creeped me out. Like, I didn't want to get up to go to the bathroom at night. Like, it creeped me out. So I'm excited to try another horror. And this one, basically, you have Maas, and her father asks her to go to her grandmother's home and sort through everything. Her grandmother was a hoarder, and she finds like these old journals from her grandfather, and he's talking. She thinks it's nonsense, but then there's this colony of beings out in the woods, and she realizes her grandfather's writing isn't nonsense. Like, this is real, and she has to face them or else possibly lose her life. So it sounds really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I love The Hollow Places, like, and it stuck with me. It creeped me out past just reading it, which I love. I absolutely love that. So that one's for the unusable disc. Then we have our Deadly Design as one of the extras. The other extra is my choice for Genre-a-thon, which is my readathon. This is the last year we're doing it, but each month it's a year-long readathon, and each month we're focusing on a different genre or genre-adjacent prompt. And for August, it's back to school. So it's to read either a dark academia book or a book that just teaches you something new. And so I'm going with Women in Science, 50 Fearless Pioneers Who Changed the World, written and illustrated, because there's a ton of illustrations, by Rachel Ignotofsky. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this one. The artwork is really interesting and fun. Like, even the glossary at the back has like artwork that goes along with it. So that's a lot of fun. So it says, it's a scientific fact, women rock. A charmingly illustrated and educational book, Women in Science, highlights the contributions of 50 notable women in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. From the ancient to the modern world. Full of striking singular art, this fascinating collection also contains infographics about relevant topics such as lab equipment, rates of women currently working in STEM fields, and an illustrated scientific glossary, which this was published in 2016. So all that's gonna be, then and before. But anyway, the trailblazing women profiled include well-known figures like primatologist Jane Goodall, as well as lesser-known pioneers such as Katherine Johnson, the African-American physicist and mathematician who calculated the trajectory of this 1969 Apollo 11 mission to the moon. Women in Science celebrates the achievement of the intrepid women who have paved the way for the next generation of female engineers, biologists, mathematicians, doctors, astronauts, and physicists, and more. So this one I found at a thrift store, and there was no better time to read it. It works perfectly for the prompt. And it's, easy. There's pictures, and it's not too dense. There's a timeline. Like, this just looks so much fun. And it's going to be educational as well. I think only two names really stood out to me, and that was Marie Curie and Jane Goodall. So I'll be very interested in learning more about some of these other women. So that is my pick for my genre-thon. So yeah, that's not bad at all. We had 10 books and 2 extras. And now that I got some of my rollovers and some books off my July TBR, like I said, hopefully I won't have too many rollovers. And what I do have, since this is pretty manageable, I'm hoping I will be able to catch up in August, because I'm basically spending the summer trying to catch up since May was such a rough month for me, and I do have a lot of priority reads that I need to get, so they're, it's not like I want to take them off the TBR because I want to get to them. Let me know if you've read any of these books. If you're interested in reading any of these books, I would love to know that down below, or just a book you're excited that you have coming up. If you don't know what to comment, or you just want to let me know you're here watching and you want to support the channel by commenting, you can always leave a rabbit or any type of animal emoji. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.